Hello everyone! So as promised, here is a video explaining the different declensions and probably also explaining a little bit about the cases in Latin. So let's start. Now, first of all, before we begin, I would just like to tell you guys that there are 3 different declensions in Latin. Now, you may be wondering, Sophia, what are declensions? So basically, these are different groups that people sort of made up to make the language slightly easier to understand. Now, the different declensions all have their own respective endings. So that's why we have declensions, right? Now, we're going to be focusing on the first and second declension because the third declension is slightly too complicated and completely not relevant right now. So we will be worrying about that later. But a very easy way to remember what declension a noun is, and quick reminder that a noun can only be in one declension, is by their genders. Now, so the first declension is only going to be, well, the feminine nouns, right? So, for example, girl, woman, and lots of other things that technically aren't feminine, but they just are. You're going to have to memorize the genders of these nouns. And in the second declension, there are 2 genders, so the masculine and the neutral gender, right? So these 2 are also in the second declension. Now, the third declension, just a quick mention, it's going to be a combination of all 3 genders. And that's why we aren't learning about that right now. It's too complicated. So, and the second declension is slightly more unique than the first declension because there are technically 2 sets of endings, right? So this is the endings of masculine nouns and this is the endings of neutral nouns, but they are all in one declension, right? So let's start. Now, in this lesson, we'll be focusing mainly on the nominative case and the accusative case. Now, there are 6 cases in the declension. If you want, I can make a separate video explaining all the different cases and how to use them, but yeah. Now, if you search up a noun in a dictionary, for example, you're going to find something like this. So, for example, puella, puellae, F, which stands for feminine, and its translation, in this case, girl, right? Puella is very easy. This is just the nominative singular, right? As you can see here, nominative means it's the subject of a sentence. But this is what we would find in a dictionary. And puellae is going to be the genitive singular. Now, why are they telling us the genitive singular? It's actually very easy because the genitive singular of the first, second, and third declension is always going to be different, right? So, for example, the genitive singular of the first declension is going to be AE. The genitive singular for the second declension is just going to be I. You can see here, I for both genders. So it's always going to be different, and as long as you see the genitive singular of a noun, you would immediately be able to tell what declension it is. So that's why they give it to us, right? And of course, they give us the gender as well, because you need to know that. Now, as you probably know, the endings to all of these cases are different depending on the declensions. But here I have 2 examples. So, puella servum laudat. Okay, puella, as you can probably tell, puella is the first declension, right? And it's the nominative singular of the first declension. So puella, puel is the stem, and anything after that is going to change according to the respective endings, as you can see here. So this puel is just the stem, right? And servum, as you can see here, belongs to the second declension masculine, and the un, from the un, you can see that it is accusative. Now, accusative is very easy to understand. It is just the object of a sentence, right? So here, the girl praises, laudat is praises, the servant, or the slave, as you would translate it. And here, servus, the US, tells us that servus in this case is a nominative singular, as you can see here. So it is the subject, right? The slave is now doing the action. And puellem, the am, tells us that the girl in this case is accusative. So it is the object right? So this sentence would mean the slave praises the girl, right? So these endings are actually very important because they tell you who's doing the action and a lot of other stuff once we get to the other cases, right? And yes, that's basically it. Hope you understood. Quick honorary mention to the adjectives. It's very easy. For example, here we have an example. Bonus, bona, bonum. That means good. So if you want to say a good girl praises the slave, then it would just be, so the girl is puella, right? Puella. And so then a, it's the nom, because it's the nominative singular, and it would follow, and bona will just follow puella. So here it would be, bona puella servum laudat. Okay? Or if you want to say a good slave praises the girl, then it would be bonus servus, right? Because you can see here, bonus is the nominative singular of the masculine case in the second declension in this case. So yes, that was a basic introduction to the declensions and a little bit about the cases, right? So we're probably going to be saying the accusative case as we continue reading with the book, But yes, if any of the cases come up, I will just tell you guys. So yes, I will see you in the next lesson. Bye-bye.